Hi everyone, welcome to the Laser channel where we learn, create, and share. My name is Greg, and today I've got a real treat for all of us. It's the Reno 45 Pro Vision machine. That's right, this machine has the built-in camera. We're gonna be checking out everything about this machine today. Everything from the shipping crate to the packaging, making sure it arrives to the shop here safe and sound. We're gonna do a high-level overview of some of the specifications on the machine, but most of all, we're going to be doing a test engraving to check out the camera accuracy. All of that in this video coming up. And so with that, let's get started. I'm on the floor in front of my table to answer two of the most common questions I hear about CO2 laser machines, just like the Reno behind me. The first one is, how well is it packaged? We're all concerned about making sure our new machine arrives safe and sound, and most of all with that glass laser tube intact. The second question is, how big is the shipping crate? Because we need to get this from outside to the inside area where we're setting up the machine. And that's where I'm going to start first by taking a couple measurements. The overall width is going to be 36 inches. And this direction, which would be the width carrying it through a doorway, is going to be 27 inches, which is going to be perfect because I believe most standard doorways in the United States are going to be 28 inches wide. So this should sneak through most doors without having to take the machine out of the crate. Now the overall height is going to come in at just under 18 inches. Looping back to the first question, how well packaged is the Reno machine? And I'd have to say it's packaged very well. They arrive in a wooden crate, and it's just small enough and just light enough that it came on a standard FedEx delivery truck. Now when I ditch the cover here, we can take a look inside and look at all of the foam that was wrapped around the Reno machine. All of this foam was wrapped around the outside perimeter of the machine, keeping it snuggled nice and tight within the crate. On the very top of the machine is this huge piece of this squishy white foam. And of course, on the very bottom of the shipping crate is this other equally huge size of squishy white foam. All of this keeps the machine very well protected inside of the shipping crate, and all of the Reno machines that I've had come through the laser channel, none of them have had any shipping damage. Even though some of the shipping crates might have had a little cosmetic damage, the machine itself always came through without any damage, and that's always a good thing. The packaging continues on the Reno machine itself. Here we can see that I still have the protective wrap across the top of the machine, which is made out of a nice high quality acrylic. This wrap keeps it free from any scratches or marks. Across the front are going to be two pieces of tape to keep the lid from flapping during the shipping process. This is a good practice, although I'm not really sure how much this lid would flap during the shipping because of all that white foam that we saw in the previous scene. Now with this covered, let's jump inside the lid and see what else awaits us on this Reno machine. We're going to be greeted with a lot more of this white spongy foam. Like, check out this huge block to make sure that everything is secured in place. Got a couple more pieces of foam that are locking the laser head in place to make sure that it doesn't slam around. When I move that out of the way, we're going to see that there's more foam that's bracing the gantry and the Y-axes. A couple more little pieces. And then there's also a box with a few accessories in here. And we'll go into detail with this in just a minute or two. Place this off to the side for now. And still yet more pieces of foam. Oh, and there's still another piece of foam. There's lots of foam, making sure everything is securely in place. I'll get this moved all the way back. And here we've got some honeycomb, and below that are going to be the knife blades to go across here in case we do a lot of cutting on our machine. I'll get everything unpackaged and we'll take a close-up look at everything that's included with the machine. Here's all the accessories that are included with the Monport Reno 45 Pro Vision machine, starting out with this white panel that was directly underneath the wooden cover of the crate. This is going to be the backdrop for calibrating the camera, and there's two little mini targets that are also included. We saw the honeycomb before, and if it looks like it's out of square, it's just that the honeycomb inside of the frame is angled a little bit. Off camera, I did take a square and the frame is square, just that the honeycomb in the middle looks a little funny, but that doesn't affect the performance. These are all wrapped up with bubble wrap. These are the knife blades that go into the bed of the laser machine, and they're perfect for when I'm doing a lot of cutting with the laser machine. I've got a pair of safety glasses because the Reno machine does have a secret pass-through on the front. We're going to check that out in just a minute. A tool kit for basic adjustment and maintenance. Manual focus gauge. Some rubber pads. I believe these are for putting on the bottom of the honeycomb so it doesn't shift around while it's inside of the machine. 2 rolls of double-sided tape for setup of mirror alignment. A handy wrench for adjusting the focus of the laser machine. 4-inch exhaust hose. This is going to be about 1 or 1.5 meters long and also includes 2 nice hose clamps. A rudimentary water pump. This will get you going. I do recommend something like the CW3000 or CW5200 active water chiller for keeping the machine nice and cool. If you do use this, one of the tips I do have is the distilled water that you'll be using, the gallon jug, empty that into another container and then cut the top off, making sure that you leave the handle here. That way you can easily place the water pump inside, and then the return water line you can actually fit into the handle, making sure it's nice and secured and that return line doesn't fall out, spilling all of your coolant all over your table or your floor. Power cord. USB cable for computer connection, USB cable for camera connection, USB drive with some really important installation files. We'll check this out a little later on in the video. Quick start guide for initially setting up the machine, getting the machine connected up to Lightburn software, and using the free software also included on the USB drive. These are a lot of great accessories to get up and going with this brand new machine. And next up, let's check out the machine itself. There's been a number of little improvements made to the machine for a better user experience. The first thing that really stands out is the lid now has a proper handle. The other Reno machines had a cutout, and while it functioned very well, it did allow scatter light from inside the laser machine to escape out through that hole in the lid. Now, those machines did include safety glasses for that reason. This Vision machine also includes the safety glasses because there's a hidden pass-through on the front. Now, without removing any screws or any latches, this red band across the front slides out of the way, and this is the front pass-through for the Reno series. Unfortunately, there's no matching pass-through on the back of the machine, but this still adds a lot of versatility for larger projects to hang out the front of the machine. The other update is going to be inside the machine. Let's check it out. The laser bed now sees the addition of these 2 brackets, each with a number of mounting holes, and these brackets are adjustable as well. This looks to be like a mounting perch for a rotary attachment. The Reno 45 Pro Vision is feature-packed. Here is just some of the highlights. If you'd like to know more about this machine, I'll have a link down below in the video description. The laser output, of course, is 45 watts. Maximum engraving speed of 600 millimeters per second. There's the red focus assist tool just to the side of the laser head. This has always set the perfect focus for me on all my Reno machines. The work area comes in at a generous 400 by 300 millimeters. In freedom units, that's 16 by 12 inches. The maximum Z-axis movement or up and down movement of the laser bed comes in at 100 millimeters. In imperial units, that's 4 inches. With the Pro Vision machine, I can connect using Windows, Mac OS, Android, iOS, or iPad. Compatible software includes Lightburn, the Pro version, Auto Laser, and there's also support for Corel Draw, AutoCAD, Illustrator, Inkscape importing menu, and Top Wisdom Laser, the mobile app. When it comes to connecting to the machine, I have my choice of USB cable, Wi-Fi, which is only for Auto Laser and the Top Wisdom Laser app, and I can also use a USB drive. Those are just some of the many features on this laser machine. I do encourage you to check out the link down below. I'll also have a discount code for you for virtually anything at the Monport website. Now, full disclosure on the link and the discount code, when you use those, I earn at no cost to you a small commission amount. That's just one of the ways to help support the laser channel so I can continue making great videos just like this one. Now, speaking of continuing, we're going to move on to the included USB drive. We're going to check out just a couple of the files on here before getting the machine set up and doing our first test engraving and checking out the camera system. There's a lot of important files on this USB stick regardless of the software package that you'll be using with your Reno machine. I highly recommend keeping this in a safe spot along with copying all the files over to the computer, and that's exactly what I've done. And let's check out just some of the files included on that USB stick. Here we'll see that I copied all my files to documents into a folder that I labeled Reno 45 Pro Vision -USB, and let's check out what we've got. We've got the Android app. Now, previously, this Top Wisdom Laser software wasn't available for Android, so it's nice to see that Monport now has that updated for Android. Next, we've got Auto Laser user manual, followed up by the Auto Laser software itself. And there's also the quick start for the Reno 45. And lastly, and most importantly, especially if we're using Lightburn software like I am, there's the Top Wisdom USB driver. This has to be installed before Lightburn software can connect up to the Reno machine. To get this file, I'll simply right-click on it and extract all, and hit extract, and then now I've got access to that USB driver. This is the part of the video where I've got to break in for just a second and mainly remind myself that the whole idea of this video is just to do a brief overview of some of the highlights of the Reno Vision machine. Well, I'd love to go into every faceted detail of everything that this machine can do, along with the complete setup. Instead, I'm going to take all those different segments of the setup and break them up into smaller videos. That way you'll have a much easier time following along should you decide to get one of these cool machines. Now, I'm going to turn this camera off and get the rest of the machine set up, including the camera calibrated on here, and we'll meet back up within Lightburn software to do some testing to see the accuracy on the camera on the Reno Vision machine. Welcome back off camera. I got the machine all set up. I also took a little bit extra time for a lunch break. Now, a brief overview of everything I did to the machine was I started with connecting the water chiller up to the machine. I'm using the Monport CW5200 series. Got it connected, no water leaks anywhere. So from there, I proceeded to check the mirror alignment. That looked pretty good. I only had one or two minor little tweaks. Once that was complete, I turned my attention over to the computer, and I did go back to that special USB file that I need to connect up to the machine. I installed that just to make sure that if there is any updates with that driver, I've got the most current version on my computer. And from there, the computer instantly connected to the machine just like that. And from that point, I went through the camera calibration. Now, honestly, that did take me a couple little tries to figure out what little tricks I needed to do to get the camera to see the target placard all around the work area, but it didn't take me very long to get that figured out. And now the machine is all set up. Now, don't worry that I breeze through all of that. I'm going to have videos coming up very shortly covering all those things, especially the camera calibration. Now, the next thing that I'm going to share with you is actually going through with this piece of green poster board. What I'm going to do is draw a series of dots, one in each of the corners and then one in the center. I'm going to line engrave that, and without moving this from the laser machine, I'm going to update the camera view in the computer, and then we're going to check the accuracy to where I drew the dots in the computer to where they actually turned out on here and where the camera is seeing them. This is what I do on a new machine to check the accuracy of the camera calibration. And with that, let's jump into Lightburn and get going. Well, the first thing I actually need to do before I go in the computer is have my work material in the machine. That way when I update the camera view, work materials in the machine. I've taped it down, one piece of tape on each side, because when I do this accuracy test, it's very important that this does not shift around. The other thing that I'll do is I'll set the focus by pulling down this little focus assist plunger and insert the tool into raising up the laser bed, and I'm going to raise the laser bed up until that plunger automatically snaps up. Now I'm set in perfect focus. Now if I want to double check or manually set the focus, the machine, like we saw at the beginning of the video, does come with this manual focus tool, and there is a little arrow pointing at the step for the default focus for the laser head. I can just slip that underneath, and right on point. This little focus device thing, it looks simplistic, but it works awesome every time. With this all complete, now I'm ready to jump into Lightburn software. I've got the computer all connected up to the laser machine, and during the installation or the connection up to the laser machine, I renamed the device to Reno 45 Pro Vision, and mainly what we're going to be focusing on is the camera control tab. In your software, if that's not showing up in Lightburn, you can always navigate over to Window and just make sure there is a little check mark next to camera control. By default though, when Lightburn finds the machine, that tab should automatically show up, and I'll click on it right now, and I'll update the overview, and here's that green piece of poster board we just saw being installed in the machine. From here, I'm going to grab the circle tool and make one circle, and I'm going to put that on layer 02, the red layer, because that's what I always use for like a line engraving or cut layer. And I'm going to Control or Command D to duplicate it and drag it down to another corner, and simply repeat this until I've got a circle in each of the four corners, and one more for the center. And then I'm going to go over to Cuts and Layers and just double check my speeds here. I am going to speed this up to 75 millimeters per second. And I'm going to drop the power down to, I think, 10%. I think at 10%, the laser tube is still firing at that point, just at a very light level. And from here, all I need to do is just hit the start button after I turn my auxiliary exhaust fan on and do the simple line engraving. That, of course, didn't take very long at all. And without touching that poster board in the machine, I'm going to navigate back over to camera control and update the overlay. It just snapped a new picture. And now I can scroll wheel in, and we're going to see the faint line of that line engraving, keeping in mind that that laser beam is very, very finely focused. It's well under 1 millimeter or even 0.1 millimeters, I believe. So with the high quality camera that's on this machine, a line engraving still doesn't show up that well. But I can see the faint line right there. And what I like to do is grab the pen tool and draw a line from about the center of that line engraving up to the edge of the circle. And I'm going to just put that on a tool layer, and I'm going to rotate this so it's horizontal. That way, when it's highlighted, we can look up here and see that the width is 1.1 millimeters. So that's what I'm calling the air up in this upper corner is going to be just over 1 millimeter. We'll zoom in on this bottom one and we'll do the same thing here. I think this is about the center of that engraving line. We'll go to the circle and highlight that, turn it horizontally. That looks close enough. That's only off a 0.5 millimeter. That is really, really good for camera systems. Normally I call a camera good if it's within 2 to 3 millimeters. That's usually about all the more manufacturers will guarantee on a camera system. Let's get this other corner. We can see this line much better. We'll go from the center and just repeat the steps before, turn that horizontal. And this one is a 0.5 millimeter off. That is simply amazing. Let me go up to this corner. And this one looks like it's pretty much right on. I think this is about the center. I'll go right there. Zoom in some more. .3 millimeters. And for the last one in the center, this one surprisingly is off a little bit more. And this one being off 1.13 millimeters, that is still incredibly good. So pretty amazing results with the camera calibration on the Reno 45 Pro Vision laser machine. The camera system on the Reno machine is definitely a welcomed addition feature. Now I know there's a lot more to cover on this machine. There's all kinds of things with the display and the rest of the machine that we'll be checking out in future videos. Now, one of the future videos that I'm thinking of doing is actually going to be a live stream of the camera calibration and the accuracy check that we just saw within Lightburn software. So let me know in the comments down below if you'd like to see that as a raw, unedited live stream or just an edited video like this one. Your input is always welcomed. Thanks for joining me in this video. I had an absolute blast creating today's content for all of you. Join me in future videos as I cover more things on this Reno Vision machine. And don't forget to give this video a like or subscribe to the channel. Not only is it a great way to help the laser channel grow, it's an awesome way to connect video content like this with other great viewers just like yourselves. And until we meet again in the next video, I'm Greg from the Laser Channel, where we learn, create, and share.